Hey guys, and welcome back to the channel. It is Australian Open 2024 quarterfinal preview and prediction time, and we're going to get into the very interesting matchup that is Daniel Medvedev versus Hurkacz. I cannot wait to get into this one because it's two players with a very sort of similar style, in all honesty. We'll get into that in more detail. Before we do that, remember to that like button, do subscribe if you're new, and do leave a rating or review if you're listening on a podcast platform. So we're going to break this video into four sections. The first section being the road to the Australian Open for both players to this quarterfinal stage. The second one being their head-to-head. So what's it look like? Who's winning the head-to-head? And also what surfaces have they been playing on, etc. What's it look like? Thirdly, the style matchup. So tactically, what might we see on court and how I think the match might be won or lost. And then ultimately, I'll give you guys my prediction. So, Hurkacz's road to the Australian Open quarterfinals. So, first round, he played Yasika, winning in 3 sets. Then in round 2, Mensik had to fight very hard for that one, winning a 5-set thriller. Round 3, he came up against a talented and relatively informed Ugo Humbert, but beat him in 4 sets. And then came up against a really informed Frenchman in Kazal, who had a career best run at a Grand Slam, but beat him in 3 sets, so straight sets there for Hurkacz. For Medvedev, an interesting first round. He was 2 sets to 1 up against Atman, and then he had to retire the Frenchman. Ruusuvuori was a 5-set thriller, so both players having round 2 5-setters. And Ruusuvuori, we know, is dangerous. Still hasn't quite made that massive breakthrough, but showed some grit against Medvedev. But in the end, Medvedev too strong. Then in the third round, he played a somewhat resurgent Felix Auger-Aliassime. Still not at the level we expect of the Canadian, but beat him in straight sets. It's still not a very good matchup for Felix. And then he came up against what is a dark horse in Nuno Borges, who beat, in my opinion, the dark horse of the Australian Open coming into it, Grigor Dimitrov, in a really, really exciting match. But he fell to Daniel Medvedev in 4 sets, although Medvedev was 5-2 up serving for the match in the third set, but couldn't close it out. Borges won 5 games in a row, and Medvedev ended up taking the 4th set comfortably. The head-to-head. Well, the head-to-head is interesting, and for some of you might be surprised. Hurkacz leads the head-to-head. It's 3-2 in favor of the poll. However, 3 of those matches that we're talking about, all those 3 matches that we are talking about, which Hurkacz won, 2 of them were on grass and 1 on hard court. That was in Miami. Both Medvedev wins have been on hard court, although 1 indoor, 1 outdoor. The indoor one was at the ATP Finals. The last time they played was actually in 2022, so they haven't played for over a year. So, in all honesty, Medvedev has improved since then, and I would say so has Hurkacz as well to a degree. In terms of the style matchup, now this is where it gets interesting because the similarities between the two come from a reliance on big serving. Both players have, I would say, top 5, top 10 serves. In my opinion, Hurkacz at the moment has the best serve on tour. Kyrgios obviously is not fit. Isner as well, has retired. So I would say Hurkacz is probably up there, if not the best server on tour. And Medvedev, I'd say maybe top 5 at the moment. But both rely on big serving and both have extremely reliable backhands. Both two-handers. Both players' forehands are susceptible to breaking down at times. So they have those similarities in their game styles. But where the players differ is that Hurkacz has an elite net game, so he has a ridiculously good transition game. A lot of his style is built upon being able to try and come forward and finish off points at the net. He doesn't have supreme power on the baseline, and he isn't a massive baseline power hitter like a Yannick Sinner, like Andre Rublev, like a Taylor Fritz, for example, or even a Carlos Alcaraz, but he's a bit more of a hybrid. And then with Medvedev, he's the complete opposite. He's not particularly comfortable with the net at all, despite added efforts to improve that side of his game. He just doesn't seem like someone who is the most natural, let's say, when it comes to coming forward and finishing your points at the net. Similarly, though, Medvedev has an elite return game, but Hurkacz has an average one, in honesty. So that's another difference in their games, highlighted by the fact that Hurkacz has as I said, in my opinion, the best server on tour, yet he plays a high percentage of tiebreakers in a lot of his matches. That's to do with the fact that he doesn't return particularly well. It's not one of his strengths. For Medvedev, it is, I would say, probably his biggest strength. If you were to say to me, what are Medvedev, if you had to name three strengths of Medvedev, what would they be? I would say returning, shot tolerance, right? Which is also inclusive of defense and serve. That's what I would say, in honesty. So, after talking about this and talking about the styles generally of both players, what conclusion would you come to? Well, for me, it's that the longer the points go on, the more likely Medvedev is to win them. He's got a better shot tolerance, and although his forehand is not as reliable as his backhand, even he has added effective attacking ability on that wing to enable him to control rallies more regularly. In honesty, to add to that, he has an elite defensive game, which we mentioned earlier, and it will be difficult to catch the hang in the rallies that go beyond 10 shots. In honesty, for Hurkacz, he will and should be winning a majority of the shorter points, whether that's aces, unreturnables. Yes, Medvedev will also be able to do a similar thing, but in honesty, if both players are serving at their best, Hurkacz should be winning that battle when it comes to serve battle. The serve return dynamic is different. That's where Hurkacz needs to try and up his level because Medvedev's returning will be up there. He will be standing very far back. He has just come to terms with that's his style of return and it works for him. Hurkacz needs to be clever about when he comes in. Medvedev has adapted his return game well to start to anticipate when people come in a lot better. I think the quarter loss last year at the Australian Open really hurt him and he adjusted his game. I think returned a lot more aggressively from behind. I mean, if you're going to take big swings of the ball, you have to be aggressive, I guess. And also a lot more returns going line. And in addition to that, I felt like he was more offensive with the forehand and has been. So for Hurkacz, he needs to be trying to keep the points short as possible, in honesty, coming to the net as early as he can without it being completely reckless. So that means that he's going to have some sort of higher quality in his first few strokes in the rallies. He does have that on the backhand side. On the forehand side, we saw it actually. To be fair to him, in his last couple of matches, I was quite impressed with how he was hitting his forehand, especially against Ugo Humbert and Kazal. So if he can hit that forehand aggressively and it's not breaking down much, which it hasn't in the last couple of matches as much, that's where he might then have an advantage to then come forward and start finishing off points at the net, which is where he's most comfortable. It's going to be a great battle and clash of styles because, yes, as I said, they've got similarities, but because of the differences in their game, especially from the baseline, it's going to be great to see. It's always an intriguing matchup. I think it will be one that goes relatively deep as well. And I can't wait to see how it plays out because we're going to see a lot of cat and mouse points, I imagine, with Hurkacz in the net, Medvedev on the baseline, and also some ad court battles with both players seeing whose backhand breaks down first and who's going to take that first step into being the aggressor. So I think Hurkacz needs to be aggressive in this match to get the win, and I do think he's been playing some really good tennis. Medvedev has just been super reliable at slams and at hard court slams, to say the least. Hurkacz does edge the head-to-head, but on hard courts, Medvedev edges the head-to-head 2-1. So who do I go with? My initial prediction for the Australian Open was to have Hurkacz going very deep, and I had him actually making the final, which was a big call. A lot of people actually laughed at me for even having him in the quarterfinals. So I predicted Medvedev Hurkacz quarterfinal, in honesty, and I'm going to stick with it. I'm going to go with Huber Hurkacz. The only thing I'll say is Medvedev is going to fight, and he looks very happy on court right now. And a happy Medvedev is a very dangerous Medvedev, in honesty. And even even a moody Medvedev is a very happy Medvedev. But he seems to be enjoying his time in Australia. So does Hurkacz, though, and he seems very determined. So I'm going to go for Hurkacz to make a semi-final of a slam for the first time. Or, sorry, even to make a semi-final of the Australian Open for the first time, even. I'm going to go for Hurkacz in 4 sets. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below and who you think is going to win. Thank you very much, guys. Stay safe and well. We'll see you next video.